and there are different services that we provide across the county. I'm going to be talking specifically about our Good Life service. I don't know if anybody's heard of the Good Life service. No, doesn't look that way. It's fairly new.
I have.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I'm on it, and it's fortnightly on a Friday.
Ah, so yes, that would be one of our groups, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Ah, fantastic. So yeah, within the Good Life service at CPSL Mind, it's quite a big service. It started in September 2019, so just before the pandemic. And the idea was that throughout the course of the contract, we were going to introduce new elements of the service. A lot of that was put on hold due to COVID. So we've had to, I guess, like everybody else, adapt where we need to. So if I talk you just through a little bit about what we offer under the Good Life service at the moment, there's a few different elements, and I guess the biggest part that would apply to everybody here would be our community recovery and inclusion element. And what we do as part of that element is offer a variety of group support. So some of the things that you know has already been mentioned, I guess, is the idea of peer support groups. And those are fortnightly groups that people can sign up to and access. So we have a few different groups that people could access for peer support specifically. That would be our personality disorder peer support group. We also have a general wellbeing peer support group, and then we also have a hearing voices peer support group. Sorry, I'm just mid transitioning to a different room. Give me a second.
Right, we can have a minute while you get moved over.
There we go. Sorry, this is on a different level.
No problem. Hello.
Yeah, so just in terms of our peer support groups, as I say, there's a personality disorder peer support group, general wellbeing peer support group, which covers the 5 ways to wellbeing. And one of those areas is all about connecting, so reducing isolation and loneliness. And then our Hearing Voices peer support group. So all of those are fortnightly access. With our PD group and the wellbeing group, people can access for up to 6 months. So there is a little bit of a limit on how long somebody can access. For the Hearing Voices group, it's a little bit different and it's open-ended. So if someone is experiencing voices and visions, unusual beliefs, they could access that group and that would be ongoing, so for as long as they needed it. Sorry, I just catch my breath. It's just silly running up the stairs, you lose your breath. We also have another element of the service. I don't know if anyone would have heard of our Good Mood cafes or open door calm spaces. But the idea, when we set up the contract, it was that having support is great, but sometimes there's a lot of barriers to be able to access that support. So for example, having to fill out a referral form, it's a barrier. Having to go on a waiting list, it's a barrier, and it's not the support available when people need it. So the idea behind the Good Mood cafes is that it's a space where people can access instantly. So at the moment online we have 5 Good Mood cafes, so 1 Monday to Friday each day. They're all online at the moment, but usually, I mean, pre-COVID, they were out in the community as well, and that would be a weekly space. You could email us like for the online element anyway, you could email us, give us a call, and we'll send you a link, and it's that simple. When they're out in the community, you can just turn up. So you don't need to get in touch and say, I want to come to this space. You don't need to fill out referral forms or go on a waiting list. It's aimed to be support there for the community as and when people need it. And the idea of the Good Mood Cafes is that you don't have to have a mental health diagnosis. This is for everybody. So anybody living across Cambridgeshire or Peterborough. It's a chance to connect with other people. So there's no expectation that you'd have to go to a Good Mood Cafe, talk about your mental health. It's just really that opportunity to keep connected. So to get in a room or in a virtual room at the moment with other people, thinking about the last Good Mood Cafe that I went to, we were talking about if we could go anywhere, where would we want to be? And we was kind of planning, I hate to say the word holiday because it seems a bit distant at the moment, but it was that thinking about if we could be anywhere at the moment, where would we want to be? So nothing specifically related to mental health or well-being, but a chance to get to know people in the community, learn about each other, make positive connections. And I think especially throughout COVID, it's been so hard, especially for people who are shielding, people that live on their own, because we haven't been able to connect in the same way with other people. So I think the online spaces, although it's not the same as being in a room with someone, I think just seeing a different face has been great. I know when I've gone to the Good Mood Cafes, it's been, oh my gosh, I'm seeing a face that isn't someone that lives in my house, and it's just nice to talk about different things that we wouldn't necessarily talk about at home or at work. So yeah, in a nutshell, the Good Mood Cafes underpinned by connecting, and it's as simple as that, really. I think the power of that, just being able to connect with other people when we think about feeling quite isolated, feeling quite lonely. It's just something that's instantly accessible that might take away some of that loneliness and isolation, especially during the pandemic. It's been like that for all of us. I think for many of us, our own mental health and well-being, it's been up and down. We've been going in and out of lockdown. So I think once we come to a point of acceptance, last year things were easing up and it was feeling a bit better, and then it's back into lockdown, and it has been like a bit of a roller coaster for all of us. So just having that space, I think, has been really important, where we can, as I say, just talk to other people, build up those relationships. The Good Mood Cafes, it's not a commitment, so you don't have to come every week. You come whenever you want to, whenever you feel like it. We do have people that come every week, but it's not an expectation. Someone might come once and that's all they need. They might come once a month, and that's absolutely fine. Especially while we're online, once you've got that link stays the same, so you can access as and when you want to. So similarly with our open door calm spaces, it's a little bit more structured, so it's not as free-flowing as a Good Mood Cafe, but what we offer is, I guess, a more structured session to start practicing things that could help your well-being. So things like being able to ground yourself. So if you're feeling particularly anxious or overwhelmed, it's being able to come to a space. Again, there's no registration form that you need to do. There's no waiting list. You just get sent the link and you're able to access. You can come in with your camera switched off. You don't need it on, because it's all about being guided by the facilitators to do some grounding, to do some mindfulness, being able to kind of sit here in the present moment. I think I mean, not just during the pandemic, but I think it's been highlighted that when we're feeling anxious and overwhelmed, we're quite often worrying about either something that's already happened that we don't have control over, or something that we're worrying about that might happen in the future. And the idea of the calm space is that actually for that hour while we're there, we're just focusing on the here and now, on the present moment. And I think what we've seen from the calm spaces is that people have made connections. So there's people that are attending again, you know, each session every week. And sometimes it's nice to just see those familiar faces and know that, you know, we're all here for the same reasons, which is to benefit our own well-being. So they're the kind of things that are very quick access, that absolutely anybody can access across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. And, you know, we promote to our own staff, our own volunteers. You know, this is open to them as well. It's really about communities across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, and making sure that we're staying connected and looking after our own well-being. So those, as I say, are the kind of instant access things for everybody across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. We do have some more services that are coming up that aren't specifically related to staying connected. And that would be things like our anger management workshop, which will be starting next month, as well as a specific personality disorder service, which will be starting next month. And as I say, although there's not a focus on loneliness and isolation, that is something that we try to bring into all elements of our service, specifically around that peer support, which is really important in all of those elements, and making sure that we're supporting each other. So I feel like I've just talked at you about our services. There are other services that CPSL Mind offers, such as we have a CBT service, a counselling service. They're all about that one-to-one support, so aren't necessarily about connecting with others. But just from the Good Life service elements that I've spoken about, does anyone have any questions about some of the things that we offer currently?
Hi, I'm Errol from Cross Keys, and I just wanted to clarify a couple of things about the groups. Are they also self-referral?
Yes, so all of the groups that we run, we do encourage people to self-refer. If somebody needs a bit more support with that, then absolutely, you know, they can be referred by someone they're working with. Especially, you know, with things like the Good Mood cafes, the open door calm spaces, we've really limited, you know, how much or how many barriers are in the way of someone accessing. So as I say, we've tried to make it as easy as possible for people to access. If someone is a bit anxious, for example, about coming to a calm space, then we do say, you know, bring along a friend, a family member, someone you're working with, for example, and they can support you to join that session just until you know the face of the facilitator. So absolutely, you know, for people to be supported to join these sessions.
Right. And is there some promotional material specifically for those groups I could have access?
I can send across the sort of the digital assets that we've got. We've also got posters you can send across as well. As I say, it's a little bit different because we're online, but it will have all the information and joining instructions for people. And then starting from sort of May the 17th, when restrictions start to ease a little bit, we will be testing out some Good Mood cafes in the community, obviously with numbers restricted, but our hope is that as restrictions ease, we're going to have the Good Mood cafes back out in the community, as well as Good Mood cafes online. So then people have the option of what they would like to access. We'll also be introducing an online evening Good Mood cafe as well. So there'll be different options that people can join, depending on what your life is like, what availability you have, and what's needed, I guess.
And the grounding.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you just share that in the chat group, on the group, Chloe, the information, please?
Yeah, let me. So I don't know if I can share the posters.
We could always send those out though after, because we sent you the joining instructions, so we've got your email address, so we can always send them out if Chloe sends them to me.
That would be really great.
Be okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be great. Thanks.
Lovely.
Sorry, yeah. Well,
We'll make sure that you get those.
Brilliant. Okay. Was there any other questions about the groups? Excuse me.
Just you mentioned the grounding techniques and the mindfulness. Is that done part of the Good Mood Cafe? Is that where you?
It's not part of the Good Mood Cafe, so it's what we call our open door calm spaces.
Right.
So when we're in community spaces, what we do generally is hire out a private space, like a church hall or community venue, and our facilitators bring with them almost like a calm kit, so different things that people can access to help ground themselves. So things like stretching exercises that people could look at, mindful practice books. When I've done them before, I absolutely love the Play-Doh. I think something like that, could be, it really helps you to kind of zone in. So online, we don't have those physical resources. So what we ask people to do is invite them to use things that they've got around them. So generally the exercises, we would do about 4 different exercises in an hour. We just ask people to go with their own comfort levels. So if you're not comfortable closing your eyes, for example, we would say, well, don't close your eyes, but do what you feel comfortable with. So, for example, with a lot of our activities, we draw on the senses. So we'd do perhaps a visualization exercise, which draws on people's sense of touch, taste, smell, sight and sound. And that could be using anything that you've got around you. So, for example, if I was doing one of those exercises right now, I've got some hand cream. So I might invite people to use something like a hand cream to draw on those 5 senses. But the idea behind the calm spaces, especially online, is that it's really accessible. So it's using everyday objects and I guess teaching people how to be mindful using the things that we've got around us. You don't need special resources to be able to practice mindfulness or grounding.
Thanks.
Are there any more questions anyone's got for Chloe? No.
I'll pop a question out there, and yeah, just interested to know, especially over the last year, for people here, how have you stayed connected to other people? David.
Well, I've been shielding since last March, and the only places I've been out to are doctors and hospital appointments. And I have to say, I've gone from being quite outward going to the absolute opposite. I don't want to go out. I don't want to mix. And it's a struggle. It's affecting me quite a lot. And I've got a lot of health issues at the moment, and that's not helping my sort of state of mind. Have you got any suggestions for that? I mean, you mentioned these places to go to, but that's another issue. How do you get there if your mobility is greatly reduced and you don't have a car?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've highlighted something that probably there's a lot of other people feeling the same, David, and it's a year is a long time for us to, you know, for our lives to completely change. And I've had a lot of conversations recently about that level of anxiety about going, you know, going back out, going to the shops, going to, you know, to the usual places that we would have gone to before. And that level of anxiety, you know, it's a very real thing. It's, as I say, a year of doing one thing, and as you say, if you were shielding, that's limited you even more. In terms of accessing online things, how would you feel about that, David, to begin with?
Well, I am a member of the residence board and the investment panel, so I have had the occasional webinars, which has been good because it's sort of got you seeing people, although I don't know why, but this one today, I'm not seeing anybody except myself.
Oh, no.
I don't know why, what button I should be pressing, but I'm not very technophobe. But anyway, with the webinars I've been doing with residence board and investment panel, it has been, you know, at least something to talk to people. And, you know, you're here and the postman comes and you stop and talk to him because he's a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, it's been a struggle I never thought I would ever need. I'm very outward going, and you know, it's been a worry, and it still is a worry.
Absolutely. I mean, I would love to invite you to attend one of our Good Mood cafes, David.
Well, I live in Wellington, so obviously something very nearby.
Where was that you live, sorry?
Warrington in Peterborough.
Warrington. Okay, so we have a Peterborough Good Mood cafe, which is online at the moment. And it might be that if you feel like you can attend online, so I'll send all the information to Ruth as well as a join-in link.
Yeah.
So we would have a sort of a set time. I think the Peterborough Good Mood cafes are on a Friday, I want to say, but because they're all online, you could access all of them. So you could access one every day if you wanted to.
Okay.
So I'll send across the join-in information to Ruth, and it might be that, you know, if you do feel like you want to come to an online Good Mood cafe to start with, just to see some different faces, connect with people, and it might be a case of working towards a physical space when they start up again. Because as I say, it's difficult when you've been in lockdown for over a year. I guess it's building up that confidence again. To be able to attend, but you're more than welcome, as is everybody here, to attend an online Good Mood cafe to start with.
Okay, thank you.
And what we can do, if there is a bit of anxiety, we could always get the so the staff member who's doing the cafe, we could get them to meet with you 5 minutes before, so you know a face, and you know there's that bit of an introduction beforehand.
Okay.
So just in the comments, we've had social media put forward as a way of keeping in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kane, do you feel happy to talk about social media and how it's helped you? No worries if not, I don't want to put you on the spot.
Feel free to unmute yourself and have a chat if you want, Kane, if not. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so Kane, you've highlighted that yeah, social media has helped you, and I think probably what we've seen, or personally from what I've seen, because we haven't been able to see people, we've had to really kind of make do with what we have. And social media is one of those things that, you know, if you weren't using it before, more people are using it now as a way of staying connected. So, okay, so Ken, you said you've got a small group of friends who have daily calls, often talking about what you've been up to. Yeah, absolutely. And having that contact, I know from my perspective, you know, just having those group chats with friends is really important, especially when we can't see each other face to face. Has anyone done sort of virtual online, I don't want to call them meetings, but catch-ups, get-togethers with family and friends while we can't see them?
I did a few when we were in lockdown and things. It was really nice to be able to see them, and for my children to stay connected with my family and be able to see people.
Absolutely. There seems to be a lot of quizzes happening. So especially at the start, it seemed to be the thing. Everyone was doing a quiz. Which
bingo. My family did a big sort of extended family bingo night, which everybody said before I'd have never gone to the bingo, but it was quite a good way. It was funny, people were laughing. There were various things that went wrong, which was the source of more laughter, etc.
Absolutely. And is that something that you're going to take forward, Kate? So, you know, even when we can see each other, are you going to get together and do a family bingo?
Well, they're doing it every fortnight at the moment. They do quizzes. They've done various things for Easter and things like that, generally driven by the children. So the children were facilitating the bingo, which made it even more hilarious, really, because they were bickering over who was doing what and whatever. But I suppose it gave you a sense of normal family. Yeah, so every fortnight we do that. It takes a couple of hours, and another member of the family, because we all live quite close, was going and collecting pie and chips and delivering. So we'd all have pie and chips together and be chatting pre-bingo. Then we'd have the bingo, and you know, it was just a bit of a mad family, though, really.
It's really lovely, though, that you guys have carried that on, and you know, as I say, when it comes to being connected, you've stayed connected.
I think it was really helpful for the children who sort of took a leading role, and so that's maintained it, really, because, you know, they're like, oh, well, I want a turn of being the bingo caller, you know, this, that and the other. And so it's been really, really helpful.
Absolutely. Anyone else who's done something different to stay connected?
We have a Masonic fortnightly get together online. I've only joined it twice. I found it difficult to motivate myself more than that, but it has been good because I haven't been to a Masonic evening for over 18 months now.
Wow.
You know, they used to be once a month. You did have a group of friends there, so I do miss that. By the way, I've just got the pictures on.
Hey. It's always fun with the technology, isn't it?
Something's happened. Yeah.
Lovely. Thanks for that example, David. Okay, well, were there any more questions or anything that anybody wanted to mention as part of this webinar?
Well, I was just wondering, it's probably a bit more of a personal question, but has the incidence of sort of dementia and that kind of illness peaked during this period, as far as you know?
I'm afraid I don't know the answer to that, Kate.
Right.
No, I wouldn't know the answer to that, I'm afraid.
Right. Okay. It's just that although there's lots and lots of reading material out there, it's quite difficult to get face-to-face onto online opportunities for families supporting people who are new to the condition, I suppose, or just realise that's what it is. And so so it is very much a personal question. It's probably wrong to put you on the spot, but
no. I think, yeah, probably over the last year for a lot of people, as I say, people have been going to the doctors less. And
yeah.
I think when we've, for any appointment, I think we've always been advised, come on your own.
Yeah.
And it's made it quite tricky, especially if you're a carer for someone or do have a carer or just need some extra support.
Yeah, definitely. Okay.
Right. Sorry, can I just suggest with any, I've got a number of illnesses, and I've only just turned 40 and I'm debilitated and temporary accommodation in a bungalow. Anyhow, one thing that I've found is, and whatever I participate in, I try and share knowledge, information that would help others, is, for example, like you, Kate mentioned about the dementia, I'd Google Dementia Charity UK, and they always have some sort of a contact number who would be able to put you, introduce something more suitable for you. And that's what I've been doing myself with other conditions that I have. I found that helpful. And I'm still resorting back to the good old telephone to get in touch with family, because everybody else who's healthy tends to be living normal lives and don't have time for FaceTime and face-to-face conversations, but they try and incorporate me whilst putting me on speaker in the background whilst doing something else. So I'm making the most of the connections in different communication formats. And I'd also like to mention, and it's only because years ago I was looking for something for my father to get him out and a bit more active, was that there's something called University of the Third Age for older residents, I think generally retirees. And I know that there's something local all over the country and in different interests and groups and things like that. So I did put him forward for that. So I've found that there is help out there. It's just a case of being able to find it. And yeah, Google's been a great help. And I've had the initiative to ask the right questions in Google.
That's really good, and I think you've got such a good point as well. Is sometimes we don't know what's out there until we do have a look. And I don't know if anyone's used the Keep Your Head website. It's something that the Sun Network run. But if you go to like if you Google, for example, Keep Your Head Cambridgeshire, you'll see a whole list of services and groups for Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. and they typically, there's one for adults, one for children and young people, but if you go on to the one for adults, you'll see other services in the area that you could access for different reasons. And because it's online, they keep it updated, so it's a really useful resource. As well, I'm just thinking one of the things that we provide under the Good Life service is something called our Good Life Fund. And that's available for anyone living in Cambridgeshire or Peterborough. If there's, I think it's at least 4 of you. So if there's 4 people that say, right, I live in Peterborough, I can't find a group that, trying to think of something really random. Can't think of anything random, but sort of like a walk and talk group, you know, there's nothing like that in my area. I would really like to access something. So if that is the case, you can actually apply to the Good Life Fund, which gives a small grant up to £500 to be able to set up your own group in the community. And that applies, as I say, for anyone living across Cambridgeshire or Peterborough. If you think there's something missing that could potentially support the community with well-being, whatever that might be, then you can apply to that grant of money to be able to set up your own group. And once the funding is all approved for that, the group of people then have some support from CPSL Mind to, you know, look at some facilitator training. So just a session around, you know, things that might tend to crop up in groups, any challenges that might crop up, and we just give you support with that as well. But then ultimately the group itself, it's nothing to do with CPSL Mind. It's just a community group that then hopefully other people that are interested in something like that can access. And I guess the idea is behind it that you have all these services, and it's not for services to say what should be provided, because services don't know. We can't always see the gaps, and we really want to empower the community, so people across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, to be able to say, well, we think this is needed, and we're going to set it up with the grant. So we opened the first round in January. I think we had 8 groups across Cambridgeshire and Peterborough that were given the funding, and some of those were allotment groups. One of them was about having social connections, so reducing isolation. One of them was like a forest school, so all about nature and how nature can help your well-being. So there's kind of really no limits on what that might look like. But I would say if you have an idea, if you think, I would love to join a group like this, but one doesn't exist in my area, then the grant is there to help you set that up. And again, I can forward that information on to Ruth so that you've got it, and would just encourage people to apply if you do think that you could benefit.
That's really interesting, Chloe, about the grants. Can organisations apply for that, or is that for sort of individuals in the public who are looking to get something going? Is it as private? Where's it more sort of aimed at? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, so it is aimed specifically for residents of Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, so not organisations. I think there's been some cases where organisations have been a helping hand for that group, but it's really about empowering the residents of Cambridgeshire and Peterborough.
So if a resident had a good idea, saw a gap sort of in the market, for want of a better phrase, for a support group, and that resident was happy to drive that project, that's where it's aimed at. Yeah.
So, and as I say, I think there needs to be 4 people, at least 4 people.
Okay. Yeah. No, that sounds brilliant. That's worth knowing about. Thank you.
No worries. So yeah, I will send all that information to Ruth again, and then Ruth, if you're happy, you can send it to everybody here today.
Yeah, that's no problem. We'll do a follow-up email with the information that we've talked about today.
I've noticed that for me, I've written more letters in the last year than ever before. So
Yeah, that's interesting. How have you found it, the writing letters?
well, it's been mostly to friends, but it's just makes a change. I've had to type it because I can't use my hands very well anymore. But yeah, it's been an expression. But I found that I'm not being able to motivate myself as much as I used to be able to. I mean, I'm writing an autobiography. I haven't even finished chapter 1, although it's been ongoing for 2 years. So I just can't get that motivation, and I should, because my memory's fading a bit, and I need to get that all down before it gets any worse.
That's amazing, though, the fact that, I mean, even thinking about writing an autobiography, you know, because it's not a short piece of work, I imagine. You know, there's quite a lot that you put
I know
into
what the chapters are. I've got 22 chapters, but it's I've led quite an exciting life, so it's hopefully it'll turn out all right.
Amazing.
One point on that, Dave, is I know Cross Keys run a course called Feeling Stuck. You know, when you sort of hit that sort of feeling stuck phase where we all sometimes at different points in life, and they run a course where it just kind of, and it's actually called Feeling Stuck, and gives that bit of motivation and helps sort of crystallize, okay, how can I move forward out of this?
Is it possible to send some information on that? I've not heard of it.
Yeah, I know Ruth does that, so we'll make sure that's done. But it's a very good course, the Feeling Stuck course, and it's all about just giving you, sometimes you need that impetus, that just to get that inner motivation and to trying to formalise your plans. But no, we'll get some info sent, but it's a very good course, the Feeling Stuck one.
Well, I was gifted a course on a zoology course from a friend in Germany, and it was quite a couple of £100, but she sent it to me as a gift, and I've got through the first one of those, so I'm actually, you know, getting on and doing things. But you know, I've had surgery twice in the last 3 months, and another one coming up soon. So it's getting over one thing and starting another. So, but I have moved to a beautiful bungalow, courtesy of Cross Keys Homes, and this is my forever home.
Yeah, we can certainly send you some information for the Feeling Stuck course. That's great that you've mentioned that, Ed, because I was going to mention that before we finished. The Feeling Stuck course, we are actually running another one next week. We've got the option of online, or we are able to run in small group face-to-face course. But maybe for you, David, the online might be a better option at the moment, from what you were saying. But we can send some information about that. And if next week doesn't suit, we'll be running it again. So depending on what else you've got going on, we can definitely sort out, so you can link in with that.
That sounds very good. I could probably need something like that.
Yeah, and anyone else that's interested, just let us know. You've obviously got our email contacts now, and I'll be sending some more information out after this as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, has anyone got any further questions for Chloe? Or it's been really useful, Chloe, to hear about all your services, and there's definitely some really good things going on there, and really useful support for people, which I hope some people that have been on today will be able to link in with or tell people about. And yeah, it's been really useful. Thank you for your giving us your time.
Thank you for inviting me, and sorry again about the chaos at the beginning.
That's life in COVID, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm lucky. I missed that. I was delayed at the doctor's, so I missed the initial start.
It's a very chatty 2-year-old, David, pulling my ankles.
I I thought you handled that brilliantly, Chloe. I think I would have been totally overwhelmed by that sort of situation, but I thought you handled that really, really well. We've all been there, and I have to say 10 out of 10 for how well you handled that.
Oh, thank you. I think as we say, it's sort of that COVID life, isn't it? It's we've all had to.
It always happens when we've all been there.
Yeah. No, it's been great. Thank you. And thank you for everyone that's joined us as well. We will be running more of these. We're doing some more events which will be around topical issues, and we'll be trying some more webinars, and we might have some face-to-face events as restrictions ease. So we'll be publicising those, so hopefully you might be able to join some of those as well. So more information to follow. As we said, we'll send out some of the information that Chloe's mentioned and details of the Feeling Stuck course to those of you that have joined today as well, and let us know if there's any other support that you need. We're also going to look to, we'd really like your feedback on how you found today as well. If you enjoyed the webinar, we'll be sending out a short survey, so it won't be anything that will take long, but we'll send that out to you on email, and just ask if you just give us some feedback. It'd be really useful.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just ask a quick question to Chloe? I just wondered if Mind had anything in place to do with positivity, stroke good news, stroke comedy, to help with positive hormones like serotonin and uplifting. Because I remember the world seems to be quite negative, what with this pandemic, and the positivity isn't coming out. And I remember watching Russell Howard's Good News, and I used to enjoy that because it made a change from everything, and it was a feel good. And I just wondered if anything's in place with Mind, or shall I just ask Dr. Google?
So we haven't got anything specifically for that, but I think that's a really great point. And you know, not just over the last year, but ongoing. If you flick on the news, you never hear about the good news, do you? It's all about you know, I guess current events that are impacting across the globe. But as you say, like Russell Howard's Good News, you don't hear those successes, those real highlights that have happened. So we don't have anything specific for that, but it's definitely something, you know, if you have that suggestion, if we're not already running it, then I think my email is linked in with this. So please do email me, and we can chat further.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah. I would just also like to mention that just looking into something called a gratitude journaling, just to highlight positivity, even the smallest of things each day makes a big difference. So I just thought I'd share that with others.
Stick your head out the window and listen to the birds singing. That's positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Or the
sunshine, and
that has.
Well, where I live, at night when I go to bed, I have my windows open, and I'm thinking, what are these birds that are singing all night? And I went online, and they're like larks, and there's about 6 species which do sing at night. So that's quite interesting, because they're here in Warrington. I have complained to the government, but Boris Johnson's too busy.
I know. Andrew, who would want to be in his shoes at the moment?
My God. Who the hell is interested? I couldn't care less. Who is blaming decorating? It doesn't bother me.
Oh, well, we better not get political. But we'll have a chat more privately, David.
I can see you, Kate, by the way.
And you, darling.
Thank you, everyone. It's been great to have this chat, and hopefully join us for some more. We'll be publicising anything else we've got coming up as well.
All right.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.